Okay, so today we'll see about other constructors in Java. So how do you use default constructor and other constructor of creating an object in class? Let's move to. Okay, so this is a example of a student class. So here there are three data or attributes: roll number, name, and subject ID. Suppose student is taking one subject and it is of integer type. So for that we used a variable subject one underscore id. And here you can see in blue marked ink we have defined a constructor with the same name, and it will be called as a method. So the return type, there will be no return type and no parameter will be passed. So student parenthesis, and then inside that this method block. So you have initialized those three attributes or data: roll number equals to 0, name equals to empty string, and subject id equal to 0. So what it does, whenever you create an object using new operator, so this constructor will be invoked. Even if when you have not declared student or have written this default constructor inside the class, this student default constructor will be called. Okay, so next okay, so we can define other constructor like student, and in those constructor we are passing roll number as argument. Similarly, we can pass as many number of arguments inside student method. So those will be called when we are explicitly calling those constructor or creating object using those arguments. So we'll say an example. So next constructor we are calling uh, student, same method student, and we are passing three arguments: roll number, name, and student id, that is called sid. Now how do we assign these arguments to our class variable? Okay, roll number equals to the argument we pass roll underscore number, then name will be assigned with our argument passed in this student method or this constructor s underscore name, and subject id will be assigned. So how do you call this default constructor? By creating an object of student class. So here we will call student, and the variable name reference will be student, that will be called object reference name, and we will use new keyword, new, then student, this constructor student method. So whenever you call, this default constructor will be called, and all the initialization and memory allocation will be happen during this instantiation. This is called object instantiation or object creation using new keyword. Similarly, you can invoke other constructor. Okay, so using this new student, and inside that we can pass roll number or roll number, subject id, and subject name or student name. Okay, so how do you invoke a method of a class? There are two methods: get subject details or get student details as name. So how do we call this method? Using dot operator. So we have got a object reference student, we can use student dot get, that method we will call. So how do we call? We will see. Now similarly we have defined a class. Now inside that there are two methods: public string get student details, where we are passing roll number as argument, and inside that method we want to print something. Some statements are there. Okay, that will be executed when we call this or invoke this method get student details. Now similarly there are other method get student subjects public, and the return type will be integer, and the argument we are passing is integer type of roll number. So whenever we will invoke this method student dot get student subjects and some roll number will be passed, so subject name or subject id will be returned. Since return type integer, so subject id will be returned according to the student's roll number. So those methods or statements this can be written inside this method. Okay, so now see you will see a example. So we have defined those method, declare the class, we have declared the constructor also, default constructor and other two constructor. Now we are instantiating the object using new keyword. So student, there will be a reference name, then new student, and these three arguments are passed. So here there is a, so this student will be a object reference name. Okay, and then there will be three arguments have been passed. One passed one is roll number, then student name, and then subject id. Okay, so yes, this subject reference will be capital small s student. So now how do you get the student details of this student? So now object has been created with student object has been created from this, and what is the roll number 1 2 3 4 5, and its name will be abc, and subject id will be 1. So all these data along with those methods has built an object, and that will be allocated inside a memory. Okay, so this thing happen when you call or instantiate object using new keyword. Now I want to invoke the method get student details or get student subject. So how do we declare? So I will declare, so this return type will be string, so string name, so this is object reference name student small s dot, we have already mentioned we use dot operator, the method name get student details, and the argument will be passed roll number 1 2 3 4 5. So here the name will be abc. Similarly we can get subject number, we will declare a integer of number int no equals to object reference name student dot the method get student subject, and the roll number will be passed. So here subject id will be 1, so that will be returned, and that will be assigned to number. Okay, this is all about how do we invoke a method which you have defined inside a class. Okay, along with the other methods like constructor and default constructor and other constructor, and how do you create an object out of class using new keyword. Okay, so we will move to next section.